All right, I think we are live. We are absolutely live. What's going on, everybody? Let me just all right. Can everyone hear me? I haven't streamed in so long. I don't see the chat moving, which I'm very concerned about.
I'm in the chat. It's definitely moving.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on my end.
Yeah.
My
Everyone,
internet's
everyone's
working good enough that like the stream didn't crash, so that's cool. But my chat just like started popping. So, what's going on, everybody? We have Killer Cam here, Killer Cam, the
up,
Killer
everybody?
Man, and we've got OJ, Player Essence, man that
I'm
goes
here.
by many names slash letters.
OJ's fine.
And yeah, Cam, Giants fan, OJ, 49ers fan. They both had good days today,
Yeah.
or
Both had good days.
yesterday and today.
Yeah, yesterday and today. So it was not bad at all. Looks like Giants are probably gonna be heading. Oh, I think Giants are heading off to the Eagles, right? Giants versus
Yeah.
Eagles.
That's gonna be a
Yeah,
tough game.
yeah. Giants versus Eagles, and then the Niners are. It's between the Bucks and the Cowboys. Whoever wins that game Monday night.
Yep.
So it's gonna be
So
interesting.
You guys may or may not be familiar with OJ and Cam. Both of their channels are linked in the description. They do a lot of gaming stuff. OJ focuses a lot on Nintendo, especially Nintendo Switch and RPGs. Cam covers a lot of general gaming news. Obviously, he did a lot of restocks with me when that was still popping off. And yeah, so Cam, I know that you've played The Last of Us. OJ, have you played the game?
I have played The Last of Us, the original, The Last of Us Definitive
Oh
Edition,
yeah.
The Last of Us Left Behind DLC with the chick, the one girl, the black girl. I've played The Last of Us Part 2. I've beaten every single thing of The Last of Us. So I
Okay,
know
so
the
you
games in and
know
out.
what's up.
I know it in and out.
All right, let's talk. Well, hold on. Before I say the first thing, let me just say hi to a bunch of the people in the chat. Justin Monday, Super Nick, Jacob Cushman, Shenties, Yvonne Francis, Matt Stansbury, TJ Oyandi, DC, Terry May, Jeff Marks, Anthony Barrera, Avaliso, Silent Grace, Ulysses Ashburn, Crystal Hudson. What's going on, you guys? All right, so initial reactions to the opening of the show. Let's start with you, Cam.
I texted you when that
Yeah.
one scene came on, right? My God, it felt like I was playing the game again. Like literally, like the cinematography lined up with a lot of the shots from the game. I noticed they reused some of the dialogue too, and but man, what an awesome start to the show.
Yeah, I agree. What did you think, OJ?
Yeah, very much in line with Cam. I mean, it was very, you can tell that the people who worked on the game were like, you guys aren't going to mess this up. Like, we're going to make sure that this is no Velma or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to make sure that they get this to the T. And I think that that's what makes it so authentic, that it felt like the game. It felt like just like it. And in many ways, maybe a bit better, because the game is going for that storytelling type of way, and it's like, well, here it actually is in a movie. People always make jokes about movies, right? Like Sony and games in their movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here it is. So it almost, in a way, it felt a little bit more authentic, believe it or not, for me at least.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I mean, like that's a good point. That game kind of, and you could tell when you're playing it that they're trying to make it a game that's more like a movie that has more of a story. In some ways, like it was almost kind of like forced a little bit. In a weird way, it reminds me of like what like Square Enix did with like Final Fantasy VI. Like that was also one of the first games to try to like have like a cinematic, more like emotional story. Um, but when you actually see it translated to live action like that, like and actually have it be real, it is something different. but at the same time, a lot of the things I felt playing, that's like one of the most powerful openings to a game, I think, like ever. Just that first 10 minutes, when you're, trying to rescue Sarah. And a lot of the things like I felt watching it in the show were the like exact same emotions I had when I was playing that. You know,
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
I think it's a good point that you made too. That like it is different and more real in a way, but then when you're playing a video game, that's more real because you're in control. So it's like different things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different medium, right? So it's obviously not going to feel the same as when you're because like I mean, I played the game all the way a number of years ago, so it's definitely going to feel like okay, well, yeah, you don't have this level of control with it, but I think that they did a good job of actually maybe just it's tough, but just fleshing out Sarah a little bit more, at the
Yeah, for
beginning,
sure. Like with Sarah,
compared to
yeah.
compared to the game, they kind of show, like, it had like the birthday, and like the watch and stuff like that was pretty cool to see that because I mean, we already knew it was gonna happen, right? So it was cool to see that at least. But yeah, it hit, man, it hit me hard just like it did. I actually pretty much kind of teared up the second because I played it originally on PS3, kind of wasn't feeling it. Then I played it again, the remastered version on the PS4, and then I was like, okay, let me just go through it and play it through. And it kind of hit me a little bit more the second time because the first time my daughter was very young. Second time my daughter was older.
Oh yeah,
So it
I couldn't even
affected me.
imagine as a
Yeah, so it
dad.
affected me a little bit more with my daughter not being a baby at the time compared to the second time I played it. So I was a
Yeah.
little bit more emotional the second time. So this time it kind of hit me. Okay, I knew what to expect. So I was like, okay, no, I'll be good this time. But it's still, you still have that feeling though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exact. Wow, yeah, I couldn't imagine that. Um, Chris in the chat says, I thought that was great. I had two small gripes. One, they did Robert a little dirty. In the last scene, when Joel and Tess find out Ellie's infected, seemed like not a big deal and super rushed. I could kind of see that. And then Super Nick said the actors were great besides Ellie. Hopefully, as the show grows, she'll get better. I, hmm, I'm trying to like. I thought she was really good, but
I did
like
too.
when I like read that comment, I'm trying to think like maybe I'm trying to like understand it from their point of view, and when I think about it, I could kind of see how maybe it seemed forced a little bit a couple moments, but I think that's partly the character too. You
Yeah,
know?
Ellie's supposed to be a little annoying and brash. That's her character. I think it's because some people maybe, and he might be doing this subconsciously, that doesn't really look like Ellie. So therefore,
Mhm.
it's already just assuming like, oh well, that's I mean, because she doesn't look like Ellie. If they put the freckles, and they kind of if the girl kind of looked more like Ellie,
Yeah,
then I think that maybe that would have dissipated. But
like Ellen
Ellie's
Page.
supposed, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like if the person looked more like, but she doesn't really look like Ellie. Like they've been doing compare like Joel looks like Joel. You know what I'm saying? And like and when you have that where it looks, then it's a little bit easier. But yeah, her attitude is a bit forced and brash because she's a young was she tween? I think she's like 13 or something like that, 12,
Yeah,
13.
I thought like 12, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of pulling that out of my head, so I don't even know.
and if you remember a 12-year-old that curses and has an attitude, they all sound rushed. They all sound,
Mhm.
like that because they're talking bigger than they actually are. So it's going to sound
Right.
kind of cringy or rushed or whatever. So she actually did a good job of mimicking that of a 12-year-old trying to be a bit edgy or being whatever, having that like foul mouth. So I
I
think
think
that it
so
was
too.
intentional. Yeah, I think it was
and and
intentional.
especially I guess if this was the first thing I would see her in, maybe I would think, oh, maybe this actress is immature, but she was really great in Game of Thrones. I mean, she didn't have a huge role, but there was a
Mhm,
couple episodes where she did kind of get to have a couple like special moments, and she was just kind of like a badass, and she
mhm.
played a character that was also obviously very young. I mean, look at her, um, but had more of like a maturity. You know what I mean? Like more of a stronger character. It was so different
Mhm.
than this character she's playing now. So having like seen her act in something else, I can definitely put it in my head that she's doing a really good job playing this role.
Yeah, yeah. it's not an easy role to play. I don't think this would be an
Yeah.
easy role either. You know, I mean, acting isn't easy at all. I can barely remember my scripts for my videos. So, but like, you know, I think that over the course, she's going. Obviously, we know what Ellie turns into. So it's going to be interesting to exactly see like what that person in chat was saying. If it continues and maybe looks a bit, you know, unnatural, or if it actually, you know, if it actually continues on, you know, to see exactly where that goes. So fun.
Yeah.
I think like right now she's like the exact character she should be before like she gets there's character
Yeah.
development in The Last of Us. So
Mhm.
like right now you may not
Exactly. You
like
need
her,
room to grow.
but yeah, exactly.
I didn't like Ellie when I first started playing. So I think they did. I mean, if you don't like her, I think you're not supposed to like her. I think at first, like you're not supposed to be in love with her at first. At first you're like, okay, this snotty little kid acting this type of way. You know, like what's going on? Why is she so special? So you're not really supposed to love her at the beginning. You know, so I think that mission accomplished if that's the case. You know,
It's kind
if
of
you don't
yeah.
like
You
her.
know what? It's kind of funny because like it's based on the game, right? And in the game, you're playing as Joel. And it's funny that you say you're not supposed to like her at the beginning because that's exactly how Joel feels. And in the game, you're
True.
playing as him.
Yes.
True.
You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
that's very intentional because he doesn't like her at first either.
Yeah.
And you
And
know,
and we know Joel we've been with Joel the longest, so we're gonna adapt maybe like to how Joel is thinking, right? Or you're like, okay, well, Joel's the main character. We've seen him the most. He's had the most lines. So yeah, you're gonna kind of be on his side at first. You know, you saw what happened to his daughter. So right there, you already have that emotional attachment to Joel, and you want to see him succeed in whatever he's doing, you know?
yeah, that's a great point.
So I think that yeah, when I was first playing, I'm like, yeah, who is this kid? You know, I didn't know about the spoilers and all that. For somehow I missed all the spoilers when I played the game. You know, so when I was first playing through, I was like, oh, who's this kid? You know, because I didn't know what happened or anything like that. I just ignored it all online, even though the game had been out for years. So
Mm-hmm. Super Nick just said her acting was good. I just hope her character development works out good, especially emotionally.
I think
So
it will.
change
yeah,
his tune. Love to see it, Nick.
yeah, I think they would have if this didn't turn out right, they would have just jettisoned her and brought somebody in and redone it. You know, like I think they would have just been like, if they felt it wasn't good, like it wasn't authentic, they probably would have just said, all right, you know, it's not working out. Let's get somebody else in, reshoot what we need to reshoot, and just I think that's how far they would have went with this. You
Yeah.
know,
Anthony just said Bella did great in this episode. She made me laugh a couple times, just like Ellie did in the video game. And the other thing that's like really endearing about Ellie is just like you think even if you've never played the game and the show is your first experience, obviously this is a kid that has no one. Like, can you imagine how hard that would be? Like, you know, of course you're gonna, you know, swear, like have all these defense mechanisms. Like the fact that like she's surviving, especially in this world, is like crazy.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's the one thing that Joel and Ellie have in common is their survivor instinct, and they kind of display that really well in the first episode, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. So, what do you guys think about how they did? I mean, the one thing with any like, not that it's a zombie show, but you know, any zombie show is what do you think of the clickers? And I guess some of the infected.
Oh, like the old lady?
Yeah, or like the one in the diner that's like
Oh
just starting
man.
to turn.
Mhm. Yeah, the scene with the old lady when she's like pulling her teeth out. Oh my god, that was like the first like big shock moment. But
Yeah,
it was really good. The cinematography, the camera was awesome. And yeah, Sarah did a really good job. The actor who plays Sarah did a really good job with that scene too. Like she was like freezing up,
yeah,
didn't know what to
yeah,
really do, and then she darted out of there.
yeah. The actress. I wonder if like in the show, uh, like there's gonna be more like flashbacks to Sarah because she did do really good.
Hmm.
Um, I wonder how much more they're gonna add. Like a lot of this first episode was very, it seemed like, faithful to the game. But I've also heard, and I don't know how many episodes the critics have seen, that it's its own thing. So I'm like, I'm curious about what the things are that are going to be different or what they're going to add. You know what I mean?
I did hear that some of the critics were saying that even though like they know that the specific story, like the specific story points, that they found ways to surprise them, regardless of the fact that they knew it was going to happen. So maybe they changed a few different things.
Yeah, I'm interested in that for sure. What was I also thought it was cool how they didn't jump right into it like the game. I guess one thing they did do that was different was they had kind of the like before the virus started with the guy just like talking about it, like the scientist or whatever. That was kind of interesting lore to add. I like that they
Yeah.
did that.
They did a good job of setting it up for someone who hasn't played the game. You know, if you haven't played the game and you're just like, even if you don't like games, I think that this can be very good to watch, very very fun. You know, it was hour and a half. You know, so that might a
Yeah.
bit long,
Yeah, I
but
thought
at
it
the
was going to
same
be an hour. I apologize for keeping you
Me
guys up
too.
this late.
no, it's fine. I live in the West Coast, so it's actually it's not even 8 o'clock yet, or it's going to 8, so I'm good.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
I live in California, but yeah, man, like it was I felt that yeah, I think that was cool that they added that lore, those lore parts, and yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how it continues on with that. This is it looks like it's going to be faithful, and it looks like it's going to be great. You know, just to see how these events play out, and the small differences between them. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being, I mean, just like the game series. I think it's going to be pretty violent. Um,
Oh yeah.
for what they showed in this episode, I feel like in a premiere of a series, you can't like show too much to like scare people off. Like you want people to get invested a little bit.
Mm.
Um, so I feel like if they're willing to show as much as they did in this like first episode, it's gonna get crazy. And even when Joel like at the end was just beating that guy over and over, just with his fist, um, that gave me like flashbacks to a couple, especially in part two, like playing the game when it forces you to do certain things like that like doing it in a game is a totally different experience because that honestly like there's a couple moments like playing the game where like I was like shaking a little, like I was fine but I was just having a physical reaction and I like had to set the controller down for a second, and when he was doing that it like reminded me of when I was like almost living that because I was playing it. So that's another thing that's really cool about the show if you have played the game, is that like it brings you back to certain moments. It makes you feel it more. But I'm also really curious if anyone in the chat has never played the games at all, um, what you thought of the show. Like if you thought it was as good as I think we haven't said this yet, but I think we all thought it was great, based on what we're saying. Um, I'm just curious about
Yeah,
the chat, but I'll give them a
there
couple
were
minutes
some
to
people.
respond.
There,
Yeah,
there, yeah, there were already some people that did say that they've never played the game, but they watched it and they felt that it was solid starting out. You know, so I did see like a person or two say that.
yeah, I did too. I was let's see. I was just reading the last comment. Also, the difference between Sarah seeing Joel beat someone and Ellie seeing Joel beat someone. Oh yeah, that's interesting too. Well, I mean, Sarah's his daughter, though. You know what I mean? I mean, Ellie's pretty much a stranger at this point. So, um, Ulysses, I know you haven't played the game yet. Show is good so far. Nice.
Yeah, some people were saying they didn't have. I saw in the chat here. Some people were saying that they didn't have the highest hopes for the show, and I'm thinking, why? I'm like, you should. The show was going. I mean, the people that are making this are pretty much like movie people, like Junkman. I mean, that's what they're known for. I mean, would have been very surprised if this show wasn't good. You know, if it wasn't, even if it wasn't
Right.
like amazing, because it's pretty amazing, right? But even if it was like, let's just say like a 7 out of 10 or something like that, or like whatever, I'd be shocked if it was like a bad. Like you
Well,
have
okay. So
great
here's what
source
I think the
material,
kind of elephant in the room with this show or anything associated with The Last of Us these days is that it's kind of now associated as just like a woke franchise. So you have people that just don't even give it a chance and are just like, everything about it's bad. I mean, there's weirdos about all kinds of stuff, but like this is just like one of them. But even though it's kind of a weird minority, they can be very vocal. So I think I've seen like stuff on Twitter, and online just like bashing the show. Like
Okay.
bashing
Yeah, and
Ellie and like all this stuff. And
Oh
it's
yeah, I
like
saw
these are
that with
people that aren't
Ellie.
even interested in watching it. They're just,
yeah, and some of
mad
the
about part 2, so they just are gonna do this forever.
yeah, and also some of the like the console fanboys. You already know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That I mean,
Yeah,
I see that stuff
always.
online, and I'm like, and the funniest thing is the real quick side deviant thing with the console fanboys because it ties into this whole Last of Us. It's like they make everything. It's like not even about video games. It's like it's a freaking movie or TV show. They turn it into like Fanboy Wars or something like that. It's just ridiculous. It's just
Yeah.
a show, and these guys aren't young. That's the funny. Like some of these people are like old, like 40s or like 30s, and I'm like, you guys need to just give it up, man. Give it a rest. It's just a freaking show. Like it's just turn
Yeah.
it into Fanboy Wars over a show, man. Like come on.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not that
weird when people
serious.
get mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. But it was actually funny. Now I remember like a week or two ago. It was actually what was fresh in my mind and why I asked you to be on the show. Someone had tweeted, you own me on Twitter, OJ. Someone had tweeted that like The Last of Us was looking to be the first, video game adaptation that was like actually good. And then you just listed
Okay.
off like a ton of animated shows on Netflix, and then
Yes.
I was like live action asterisk, and then you were like Sonic the Hedgehog, Detective Pikachu, and I was like, oh. To be fair, I meant TV shows, but I didn't say it.
Okay. No,
But
it's
also,
all
someone
good, Mike.
pointed out The Witcher, so
Yeah, The
so I
Witcher.
was still wrong.
Well, the thing about The Witcher though is that it's based off of a book, right? So it's a book first, then it was a game.
Yeah, then it was a PC
Then,
game, 2 PC
yeah,
games that like weren't that great.
yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on who you speak to, I guess. But those are pretty hardcore, like PC centric games. The first Witcher and the second Witcher. But
Right.
yes, Witcher 3 is seen as. I agree with you. It's seen as a much, much, much better.
It
than the first
reminds
two
me of
games.
like Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, first 3.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can see how some people would think that, yeah. Especially Witcher 1. Witcher 1 is like it almost feels like a really like timing based like click simulator. It's like you go like the way that you fight in that game is real. I don't know if have you guys played Witcher 1 real quick?
A
No.
little bit, but like I haven't even
Okay.
finished Witcher 3, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, Witcher 1's gameplay is very interesting on PC. But I played all three and I don't like The Witcher.
yeah.
But my wife
I
loves the
just
TV
don't like
series.
I don't like the control scheme with the controller for The
Yeah.
Witcher. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I agree. That's one thing I don't like with it. But apparently, I know we're getting off track. I don't want to get too off track here.
No, no,
But
no.
apparently, the next gen update for The Witcher 3 is really good and it really fixes a lot of like the wonkiness because of the smoother controls.
I've
So
been
maybe
waiting
you might
for
wanna
that
check
to
it out.
play it. That's how I want to play it.
Yeah. Yeah. Some
I've
people are saying
I've
Resident
tried to
Evil.
play it like 7 different times, and every
Yeah.
time I just like start playing Gwent for like hours and hours and hours and never progress, and then I something else comes out.
Yeah, that is the tale of The Witcher 3. It's like, oh, I played it first on Xbox, then I tried it on PlayStation, then I tried it on Switch, then I tried it on this, then I tried it on PC, and then never got into it. And then maybe I'll try it again, So
Oh, Ulysses says Resident Evil had a nice adaptation too. I didn't watch that. I saw like very mixed opinions on that.
Resident Evil was not very good. You mean like the adaptation that was on Netflix? Like
That's
that
what
one that was,
I'm assuming that's what he's referring to.
I think he's probably talking about like the movies, maybe, because that
Okay.
TV that show was terrible. It got canceled already.
See,
That show was-
some people loved it though.
Yeah, some people loved it, but I don't
What's
think
the,
it wasn't. It's nowhere near as good as this Last of Us, or like let's just say other video game adaptations. If we're gonna compare, like Castlevania, Netflix, like all the stuff that we've seen based off of like The Witcher, it's not even close. The Witcher, this one, Castlevania, Netflix, all those smoked that Resident Evil one. Because if it was really good and the fans really felt that way, they would have renewed it for another season. Like they would have absolutely renewed it, or would have got better reviews from the fans and everything. I can see why some people might like it, but let's not act like it was super good. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's talking about the movies. Yeah, he's talking about the movies. So he just
Oh, he
clarified that.
did confirm the movies.
yeah, I
Um,
didn't watch it, but I heard the best part of that show was Wesker.
Oh, I don't even know. I didn't watch it at all either.
Yeah.
Who played Wesker?
Yeah, the
What
problem that
was
some
the name?
people had is like they blackwashed Wesker, so it's like people are like that doesn't even look like Wesker, you know. So right from the very beginning, there was already like, oh, that's a strike, you know, like when you do stuff like that. So yeah, that was the issue. I mean, Wesker was okay, but I think really it was more of like the writing was very good, like some parts. And Wesker's just a really cool character, just in general, you know. So they really could have got anybody to play Wesker, and as long as the person's solid and the writing was like, you know, the writing was good enough, it would have been fine. But I mean, the show itself wasn't great. It has the girl from Forspoken too. So
Oh, okay. What's it called? All right. A lot of people in the chat I saw throughout the stream have been asking what we actually thought about it. Like, is it good? So, let's all go through and give it like a a rating out of 10 and some
yeah,
thoughts. If you want to start, Cam, then we'll do you, OJ. I'll wrap it up.
So I think it was a 9 out of 10 for me. Like there was maybe like a one or two moments where like it pulled me out a little bit, and I was looking at my phone. But other than that, my eyes were glued to the screen.
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree almost verbatim. There were a few times because just how long it was that I was on my phone and I was just kind of like, okay, just like a couple lull parts. But I don't think that's bad. But overall, in terms of things, like, yeah, 9 out of 10 so far. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. I felt that it was well done. Everything was put together very well. It's very high budget. You can tell that it is. The gore and stuff looked good from what they've shown. And yeah, I felt 9 out of 10. Good start. Could get better too.
Yeah. I would say 8.5, 9 out of 10. I just it's really, really good. It is a really good start. I agree with that. Um, but I've heard so many good things about it. I think my expectations might have been unrealistically high. Like I just thought this was gonna, absolutely blow my mind. One of the best
Mhm.
shows ever, maybe. Especially because it's based on a game that I love so much.
Mhm.
And there's nothing that I saw that showed me that it's not gonna be that. But it's just starting. Everything is there that needs to be there, but I need to see how it develops.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
It's a great foundation.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like there's the ceiling is still exactly what I think it can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it needs to have time. Like the characters need to develop, the story needs to play out. Um, obviously I'm not like completely invested in all the characters yet. Even though I play the game, it's like I don't know the characters from the show. I'm just getting to know them, and that's such a part of big part of The Last of Us. Even more than the story is the characters.
Yeah, and
So
the relationship between Joel and Ellie, that's a big, big, big part of the whole story, and we
exactly, and we
barely
haven't
scratched the
even really seen
surface.
it.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, there's like they can't show that in the first episode. So yeah, I guess I'd say like 9 out of 10 for the first episode is knowing how it kind of has to play out. It did hook me in, just like the game did, with that opening. Uh, but maybe a little less because I knew it was coming as opposed to when I played that the first time. It just kind of it really blows your mind. But it was powerful. It's been a long time since I played the game. I wanted to um, play it when it came out for the PS5, and I still haven't. So now that the show's started again, I'll probably do that and The Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll skip the PS5 remake just because I've already experienced it.
yeah. You did
Yeah.
the remaster on the PS4. Like
Yeah, I did the
I haven't even
remaster
played
on
it
the
that
PS4.
recently.
Oh, okay, yeah, I actually did the interesting thing. The way that I did it is that I played it like right before Last of Us Part Two came out, the remaster. So I played it all back to back to back. So that I mean, my memory of everything's really that was 2020 for the Last of Us Part Two. So I played it all right back to back. I think a week before the game came out. I played the Last of Us Part One or the definitive edition. I played the Left Behind DLC. Is that what it's called? It's called Left Behind, right?
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called.
yeah,
I
yeah.
played that, and then I went right into like I think that was the weekend, and then I went right into Last of Us Part Two. So everything's real fresh on my mind. I even did a review for the Last of Us Part Two on the channel. So yeah, like I just wanted to see what the deal was about because everyone has been talking about for years, how great The Last of Us is, and I didn't feel necessarily that way when I first played it. you know. But then when I went back and played it again, I was like, yeah, I can see why this is such a gripping type of game. I think it's really, really good. But real quick question: did they say how far they're gonna go? Are they gonna go all the way through The Last of Us Part Two? Or
I don't think so for the first season.
okay,
I can't remember like the source where I heard that from. Cam, you would
yeah,
probably know
I would
this.
I would really love to see. Like, I think I'd be more excited to see how they handle Part Two and like who they get for like Abby and stuff. Like, I think that would be insane. Like that's where I'm like, okay, I hope this continues, you know?
I feel like if they
There's
do
there's a
that,
certain there's
yeah.
a
What?
certain thing I'm dreading if they do another season.
What's that?
Oh, you
Am
don't
I
want to
allowed to
spoil it?
talk? Yeah, am I allowed to talk spoilers?
I don't think that we should talk spoilers for like the second game or even the first game, just for the people that haven't seen it. I think we should just talk about what we saw on the episode, really, and general
Oh,
stuff. But
my bad. I think I've already said a few spoilers, haven't I?
um, well,
No?
there's certain
My bad.
spoilers with this game that like were like went out everywhere. So like the ones that like just were unavoidable, like if you didn't play the game, you were gonna get spoiled. I think those are fair game. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Like we haven't said it, but like what happens in the first hour of part two, like everyone knows that. I feel that like even if
Okay, yeah,
one
we
did
won't.
play the
No, yeah,
game.
we don't have to
And
say anything on that, you know.
Yeah, but there's like certain stuff like
it
that that I
involves a
feel like
golf
is just
club.
out there.
Yeah.
It's funny. The Last of Us, the first game, is actually the game that got me back into gaming because I
Oh, really?
stopped gaming for a while, and then I remember I was living in a studio and I decided to just on a whim buy a PS3, and I went into Best Buy and at this time this was like I don't know 2008, like YouTube what really was, so I didn't watch any gaming channels. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what
Mhm.
games were out, nothing. So I was going in blind, and I'm just in Best Buy looking at games on the shelf, and I see Last of Us. I'd never heard of it. I just pick up the box and look at and read it, and I'm like, that seems cool. And I went home and played it, and it blew my mind. And then I started getting a lot more games again, and getting into gaming, and it got me back into it. And then when part
Nice.
two came out, my ex at the time bought it for me when it came out, and then I took forever to get to playing it, and then right when I was about to start to play it, the Final Fantasy VII remake came out. The original FF7 was my favorite game. Well, was before God of War Ragnarok, my favorite game of all time. So I just played that, and then I didn't play The Last of Us Part Two till last year, actually. But yeah, so I have a long history with The Last of Us.
Nice.
Definitely a special game series for me. Uh,
So do you guys think that, back to the topic of this show, that people are going to make comparisons to the early seasons of The Walking Dead?
I mean, probably.
I feel like if you didn't play the games, that's like the immediate thing that comes to mind when people watch the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's definitely gonna happen. I don't know. I
those
guess since
comparisons were around before we even knew this was going to be a show.
yeah, that's true.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, for sure. But I mean, I think it is a very different thing. It just has that same theme. But it's fair to compare them.
Yeah, it's just like it the cordyceps makes a big difference, especially like in diversity of enemies and stuff. And I think we're going to see that a lot.
Yeah, and it's obviously a very different, type of like zombie. The ones in The Walking Dead
Hmm.
are mostly like pretty slow and like walk around, and then these ones are extremely animated, super fast, deadly. So I mean, it's definitely even that is it's a good point is super different. But like the whole, this is about pretty much two characters, whereas The Walking Dead is a whole cast, and it's about how they kind of form a community, and recruit more people everywhere they go, and is very much kind of just two lone wolves like forced to be together. Let's see. They bring out Last of Us 2. Oh, I shouldn't read that out loud, actually. Yeah, that's the tricky thing with this is like, I think, so someone said in the chat, I think, spoilers are fine because it's a reaction stream, but we're only reacting to the first episode. So that's the thing. Like, yes, everyone in here has seen the first episode, but there's a lot of people that don't know anything past that. So it's a little tricky. I'm curious to do a vote in the chat right now to interact a little bit of what they thought. How would you rate episode 1? All right, so we'll do. How many options can I do? I can do 4. All right, 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I guess we'll just do 8. And then 7 or lower. All right. Where do you guys think it's gonna land?
Probably like 9 out of 10, just because of I don't know. That's what I feel. So I feel like that's probably what most people are feeling.
Yep. Have to
Yeah.
agree. Right around there for me as well.
Yeah. I'm sure there would be like some nuances, like maybe like 8.5 or whatever if we had more options. But yeah, I think 9 out of 10 is the closest.
Yeah.
But then again, it might change based off of like their pre-exposure to the series.
That's true. Yeah, it looks like 9 out of 10 definitely has the most. I'm very curious to hear from someone in the chat who voted 7 or lower. If I don't, probably people just did that as as a joke. But if anyone like seriously thought it was lower than a 7, I'm very curious. What about it? All right, so we got 43 votes. I'm gonna end that poll. I actually have another poll that I'm very curious about as well, and that is how many of you guys actually played the game.
That's a good one. Honestly, like halfway through the show, I was thinking like, I wish Sony just partnered with HBO for all of their content from now on. Like, why even take a chance with Amazon for God of War? Just go with HBO because
Oh,
they're
I didn't
good.
even know they were going with Amazon for God of War.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's around the time, when they're doing these deals, they're always doing different things. And sometimes it's about the price, who's willing to pay more for what. Sometimes HBO like, hey, well, we like that. We think it's going to be good, so we'll pay this. Whereas HBO might not want God of War, think, it's not as popular. So I think that's really what it comes down to. But yeah, it'd be nice if it was uniform, but they're obviously looking for, who's going to give us the best way to get this done, at the end of the day, or the most money. So
Yeah, that's true. That brings me to one of my other fears, which I mean, HBO has done really great with shows. I mean, Game of Thrones was one of the. I read all the books before I let myself watch the show, and it's probably the best adaptation of a book that I've ever seen. But when they started to get sick of it, when they wanted to end it, man, they butcher it and rush it. And like if they did that here at some point, that would be so disappointing. Like I hope they maintain the same level of quality throughout the whole series.
yeah, I think it will, just because the funniest thing is I feel so confident in them as like movie type people, more than like I even like the game. Like I feel more confident in them in that aspect, because that's what they've been trying to do. But that's why I'm interested to see how they handle The Last of Us Part 2, because that can cause, if it gets to that point, that is where things can be like, uh-oh, people are gonna, because like, what we know already, right?
Right.
And you're gonna build up all this time with Joel and everything, and then bam. So I think that's where things Hopefully, because I think this is going to do well enough to where people are going to want, okay, well, where's more? HBO is going to want more because they're going to make a lot of money off this. It's going to be the number one stream. It's trending worldwide. It's above the NFL right now, trending. So, like, that's where I'm like, uh-oh, we'll see how they handle it,
Yeah, I
But you
also,
guys,
if they do that though, you mentioned that earlier, and it's just I was like just thinking they would have to kind of make part one last a long time because the actress that's playing Ellie does not look anywhere close. She looks like Ellie from part one, but she doesn't look like age wise anywhere near Ellie in part two. So I'm curious how they would do that. I guess there's ways, they could like
they would
they needed to
have
do
to
it
get
sooner.
another act. They would have to get
yeah,
another actor.
You think so?
e-
Yeah.
either that or they would have to use like they'd have to do like a massive amount of filler between the two games, basically, like tying the two together.
Yeah.
Ellie
Which
she gets quite a bit taller, in
yeah.
between like she gets
Well,
significantly taller.
and
So
she like learns how to handle herself. I'm also would be I don't know if there is a woman alive that could actually like realistically be uh, like play Abby, like the physical characteristics, like she's like her arms are like tree trunks, and that's not like an expression. It's like I've never seen a woman look like that in real life.
um she where it becomes interesting is that Abby's not quite like she's not like a complete bodybuilder build, you know but she's also obviously she's not petite or thin. She's kind of like a little bit weirdly proportioned in
Yeah,
terms of her arms. Like she's a very and like her thighs aren't big. She doesn't have like a big butt or anything like that. She has a very kind of nothing and her legs. So I mean, like they'd have to obviously try to find someone like her proportions are very weird. How
that's what
Abby's
I
looking,
mean. Yeah, that's yeah. You said it. You
very
said it a
weird.
lot
So
better.
yeah, they'd have to. I mean, they'd have to just take some liberties with that and just find a girl that's like
Mhm.
obviously tall and like big. Because like I think Abby's like I think she's like 6 foot or she's about that or she's a little bit, but she's definitely not short. So they have to find somebody that's tall and also has some bulk, which they can find that. But
I
I
I just,
think they'd be okay in that realm.
I just had a crazy idea. Since since this is a show, right, and they're doing it kind of different. Do you think that we could see the what it shows you in part two that was happening at the same time as part one, but in Abby's point of view, could they show that to us simultaneously during this first season?
I have no idea what they're gonna do.
Because what her dad's doing and all that stuff, could it be showing that and showing his relationship with Abby like
Oh,
at the same time, kind of, and
that
then
would
that
be
way it would do what they tried to do with Abby in the game and like make you sympathetic towards her. They can do it a
yeah.
lot better in the show if they do it something like that.
I hope they do because
That would be cool.
that would lessen potentially some I guess I don't want to spoilers, but that would lessen some problems because now you actually have an insight on the issue,
Exactly.
Um because like Abby came out of nowhere. She like just bust like Kool-Aid man. Like she just like busted onto the scene and started doing stuff. And everyone's like, whoa, 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 where'd she come from? Like
Right.
like who is this girl just jacking everything up? So I think it was just too much too fast. I think the DLC should have been a little bit better and maybe some Abby parts in there, maybe, something to get us prepped. So I hope that they take your suggestion, Jake.
Yeah.
I hope. I have to just wait and see.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right, I don't want to. Someone said we're getting a little close to spoilers. I think we did a good job of trudging around it, but it just was very cryptic for anyone that hadn't played the games. You probably had no idea what we're talking about. But
Yeah, yeah.
um,
One guy in the chat, Spider-Man says, "Who's this Abby they talking about?" So yeah, we didn't. There's no spoilers. Like we didn't say anything. You know.
yeah, exactly. It's just I mean the poll show that 80% of you have played the game. So but for the 20%, we're not gonna explain anything we just talked about.
Yeah.
But it's just a character that comes way later down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's part of the fun of the show, though, is like knowing, like, and thinking, how are we going to get to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. It's is it a weekly? They're doing a weekly
I
release.
think so.
Yeah.
Episode
Okay.
2 comes out on the 23rd. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So weekly. And did they say how many episodes there are?
That I don't know.
Oh, okay. Cool. Uh,
Actually, I want to look that up right now.
I thought I
yeah.
heard the number 10, but maybe I'm wrong.
So for the chat, some people are asking, like I said, no spoilers, but Abby she's a dual main character in the next game. So that's not a spoiler because I mean she was in the marketing material for Last of Us Part 2. So if you've seen the game or whatever, she's like this buff chick. And that's all I'll say. You know, so
Yeah.
no spoilers. So she's a really buff chick.
Yep.
That
Exactly.
is
All
I
right.
think
So it
at the
says there's
very least,
9 episodes, by the way, and if they're all 90 minutes, that's more than a typical 9 episodes. That's that's about 13 and a half episodes of content. If it was,
okay.
which
That
I
sounds
mean,
good.
but
Sounds
it's
good.
still like if it's with that many episodes, I feel like part 1 is going to be multiple seasons.
really?
Mm. So they're gonna stretch it out.
It feels like
That
they
would
have
make
to, right?
sense.
I mean, with the amount of content that they covered in this first episode.
Well, we can kind of like judge based off of who they've hired to act, right? Like what characters they're involving. We can tell how far they're going to go in the first story.
Yeah. Um, let's see.
Because we at least get to Henry.
Right. Tom G just said this episode was absolutely garbage. I'm very curious to hear why.
Is that Andrew?
The
Is that
chat's not
Andrew
very
Tate?
happy with that person.
Is that Andrew Tate in your chat?
It might be from prison.
I, I I don't see how anybody can unless you just don't like like the game
Right, what we were
or
talking about
like
earlier. Yeah.
yeah, unless you just don't like the game or whatever. But if you're someone that's I mean, it's halfway even if just let's just say going on the completely pessimistic, it's not trash. Like, I mean, there's so many other shows that are worse than this that I can think of. So even if
Right.
I didn't know anything about the game or whatever, like the
The
acting
Halo
was
show.
so yeah, Halo show. There you go. That's what I watched. I think 2 or 3 episodes of Halo. I'm like, this is terrible. And like, I'm a big Halo fan. Like, I played the games. I was like, this is terrible. I didn't even finish it. But this has me far more intrigued than the Halo show or the Resident Evil or some other shows that have came out, before. So to me, I think that this is very solid. I don't see why it's bad. I can't see why it would be considered bad based off of and even at the end of the show, like there was one part that I thought was pretty cool with like when he was punching the dude at the end and like little flashback with his,
Yeah.
like where the rage came from,
Yeah.
um so that was
That was
cool.
powerful. I agree.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, it was
cool. Cool's not the right word. Sorry, guys.
it's almost like he was thinking since that moment that had occurred what he would have done differently, and he acted like based off
Mhm.
of what he thought about through all that time.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Because he's like, I'm not gonna maybe let this happen again. Like, she doesn't deserve it. Too young, But like, or like, yeah, like you're saying, like how I would have done differently to save, So yeah, absolutely. Very good point.
Okay, two things I just saw in the chat that are pretty important. Next episode is 40 minutes. So I guess
Good.
that was just a premiere.
Yeah, premiere. Yeah.
Like extra long for that. And then someone else says, and obviously this is not verified. I'm just assuming the chat's correct. It's been confirmed that season 1 will cover all of part 1, and season 2 will cover part 2. So
Wait,
I feel like if they do
confirmed
it
the
that
second
way,
season?
what's that?
They confirmed the second season already?
I mean, I don't know, but that's what Glenn Harris is saying in the chat.
Well, the showrunners would obviously be working on the next thing and everything. So I would guess it'd be like, how Cobra Kai was, where like, oh, well, they've got this season planned, but they've got ideas and showrunners are already thinking, oh, here's what we're going to do for the next one. So
Yeah. With
I'm
an
guessing
IP
that's
like
what it
this,
was.
like all the money backing it from Sony, I think they
Yeah.
would have had that. I mean, it does make sense to have more seasons planned out. But if they do that, where it's only 9 episodes for part 1 and then 9 episodes, or whatever it is for part 2, one, that kind of makes me excited because that's going to be a fast pace, get everything in. So I'm excited for how they all fit it all. But also, what we were talking about earlier, they would have to do a time jump, like, and have a different actress. They can definitely keep Pedro as Joel, but they would have to have a new actress for Ellie.
Yeah,
I don't see how they,
unless they do like digital, aging or something, like or what do they do? Sometimes they do stuff where they can obviously make someone look taller than they actually are, make someone look older than they actually are, or whatever the case is. I mean, they could do that, but we'll see. We'll see how they handle it. But yeah, I think that like the game, it's a great game, but the game has a lot of filler. Like it has a lot of like pushing pallets and stuff like that, and helping people. Like you don't need all that, and like you only need some of that, in the show. So the show's going to be fast paced because there's a lot of times where you're just like waiting, pushing up, climbing, doing this.
Yeah,
pushing
it's nice that
moving
they
this,
can, yeah.
Militia.
Yeah. So they don't need all that. I mean, they can just put some of it. But man, real quick, as another thing, I'm excited to see how they handle the part, or one of the parts. I'll be cryptic with it so you guys know. I don't remember the two. I think it was like the two black people in like the sewers or the tunnels or whatever.
Brothers.
And then the brother. There you go. Like I'm interested to see how that part gets handled, and like what eventually happens, because that was such a powerful moment. So how are they going to handle that? I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And isn't there a time jump after that even?
Yeah, there's a couple little time jumps where like
there's a few. So
the chat also said that
that in there.
season 1 is part 1, and then part 2 is seasons 2 and 3.
Okay, so
part 2 is being split up.
Yeah, part 2's because that's a massive game. Last of Us Part 2 is long. I think it took me 20 something hours to beat that game on the first run and on the hard mode, but I was looking for things quite a bit. I will say that I wasn't like rushing right through it because I needed to upgrade because I was getting my butt handed to me. But the game is not short. It's like 2 full campaigns put together. So I can see why they're maybe splitting that up, because there's a lot of story to tell in there. If they're going to make it make sense, that actually makes me happy if that's the case, because then they can explain things maybe a little bit better, or they can ease people in, like what Jake, like some of the suggestions that you were making, like they can make it a bit better. So I think that might be a good thing that they're doing that, as long as they handle it correctly. I mean, who knows how they do it? I'm like excited, but then also like, what's the reaction going to be from the fans?
Exactly. I mean, so far though, episode 1, I mean, started out as good as you could have, really.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that played the game, you're not gonna catch us off guard or shock us in episode 1, but you got to kind of build the trust up to show that like you're doing a loyal adaptation. The show is good, and it is. So I'm really excited for it. This is definitely something every week I'll be watching.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in as well. I'm gonna be getting it's HBO Max, so I'll be getting that.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Jake with the hookup for the first
season. You got for the first do you already have Hulu, by the way?
No, I actually got rid of all of my my subscription services just because I was on a little bit of a cleanse. So I just like I got rid of I got rid of my car washing service that I had. I got rid of
do you have unlimited car washes? Just go every day?
Yeah, unlimited. Yeah. I got rid. I'm like, I went and bought some stuff for I can just do it myself. It's raining a lot here, but I got it ready for the summer that's coming up, spring and summer. So
nice.
Yeah, so I'll pick up HBO Max so I can.
Here's a fun story I haven't told anyone like on social media, like publicly. My car got smashed on New Year's Eve. It was really fun. I was driving down the street and someone whipped out of a parking spot with no blinker, and so I pulled the wheel all the way to the left, but I still couldn't get it, so it smashed up my whole like front right side. But I just got my car back 2 days ago.
Okay, good. But you're okay. That's the most important thing, is that you're okay.
I'm fine. So. The guy did get out and throw me to the ground. He was like 6'3". Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he scratched at my hand a little. It didn't even hurt. Like I just like bounced right
But that's
back up and
assault.
just tried
You
to
didn't-
calm him down. Yeah, he got arrested for assault.
Oh, you got arrested. Okay, so we
Yep.
got arrested for assault.
Yep.
Whoa.
Bro, that's
Fun
wild
times.
that you were able to keep that like off of social media.
Yeah,
I would have said something.
I don't know. It just like didn't feel good. just, I didn't know what to say, but yeah. So, but now I took it to my buddy's body shop and it looks brand new. And he found like he did like a couple like tune-ups with it too. So now it drives even better than before. And this is the really bad part on my end is I actually didn't have insurance because I live in New Hampshire and it's the wild wild west out here and you're not legally required to have insurance. So I have insurance now, but when the cops came, besides him getting arrested for assault, they just declared that they could not decide who was at fault. So I had to pay in cash to get my car fixed, which was not cheap. And then right after I got my car back, I got a call from his insurance company, and I guess according to the police report, he was at fault. So I get all my money back, reimbursed from that. So happy ending, not for him, but for me. Good times.
Yeah.
So
Man, that's crazy, man. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Goodness, double okay. First of all, big old dude comes out and blames you when he's backing out. You know, like,
oh, he wasn't backing. He was parallel parked, so he just whipped in front of me.
Oh, I see. Yeah, man. It's crazy out there, dude. The fact that he's going to, I mean, no matter how mad you get, like road rage like that is very, very dangerous, and he doesn't know who you are.
I mean,
man.
he was probably on something. He didn't get like a DUI or anything, but like I don't know. So the weird part was actually when I got out of the car and walked over to him, he was being like actually like chill with me, like he was fine. And then there was this other dude, just a random person that had seen it, and he like went up to him and like grabbed his shirt and like raised his fist and stuff. And it was like a dude, and the dude wasn't yelling at him. I didn't hear what he said, but it was like a random bystander. And I had to like put myself in between them, like, hey man, I'm the one you were in the accident with, like leave him alone. And he was like, all right, fine. He like calmed down, was talking to me. But then what made him throw me to the ground is he was like, I better see some like effing like cash in my hand right now, or like he just got mad that I wanted to like call the police or go through insurance or whatever, instead of just giving him cash. And what really made him mad was like, but it wasn't. I was like, it wasn't my fault. I shouldn't have said that. But that's what made him mad, and he threw me into traffic. He almost got hit himself several times too. It was wild.
Oh man, glad you're okay. Glad you're okay, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Like he didn't hurt me or anything. Like I just pushed. Like I fell on my butt. Like I was fine. But like, yeah.
And this was at night too.
Yeah.
Must have been terrifying, dude.
Honestly, I wasn't. I was pretty calm. I don't know.
Okay.
I could just like tell that like, I don't know. I've just been around people like that before, like so I know like what they're gonna do or not. I don't know.
You just don't know what people are carrying. I mean, people carry guns all the time now and everything. Like it's just it's just I don't know, man. I guess I see enough stupid stuff on Twitter where people just freak out and people just start killing people or doing weird stuff, man, out of nowhere for stuff that how many people just
yeah, no, you're right.
Road rage stuff, man. It's so I'm just glad you're okay, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know, like I guess just like in the moment, like I could just like I knew exactly what I felt comfortable, like I knew exactly what he was like capable of or what he was gonna do. Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. I really had no way of actually knowing that. But I mean, all like my instincts were just to de-escalate. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And even when I said the thing that pissed him off, like I didn't do it like in an angry way. I just did it like in a confused way.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess that's the bonus story. But all right, we've been live for like an hour. I guess we can start to wrap it up. And let's see, anything else from the chat that you guys were wondering, comments on? that we haven't discussed so far that you're kind of curious? Lurk says you don't need to play the game to watch the show. That's absolutely true. I mean, this show is made with that in mind.
Yep.
I mean, people that watch HBO shows, I'm sure a lot of gamers watch this show, but a lot of people watch HBO shows that have never played the game. So and again, we talked about this. Some of the changes were definitely intentionally made to accommodate an audience that has no knowledge of the game whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ulysses says, "Are you doing this stream weekly?" I I wasn't really intending to. I just I wanted to do one tonight just because I was hyped for it. It's like the very first episode. Um, but I'm open to doing it again. Either by myself or you guys can come back anytime, or we can rotate other guests in. I'm open to it, but I'm definitely not doing it next week. I can't do it next week, but I'm open to possibly doing it in the future. I really need to let the show hook me a little more. We were kind of talking about that too. I need to let the characters develop, and if like I get invested in this and it becomes like my main show, then for sure I'd be down to talk about it every week.
I think like maybe like a midway special and then like an ending special, would be good,
The finale for sure.
Good idea.
Yeah. I think like a midway, so like we let things kind of build up a little bit, get some more episodes in. How's it going midway? And then bam, ending, I think that would be great.
Like
I'd love to come on
after episode 5, if it's 9
Yeah.
episodes, I think that would be the perfect.
Yeah, we all kind of come back and like, okay, well, how do we feel now? And then how do you think like the rest? And then final finale. So I think that I'd be down for like 2 more like that, because then we like you said, it can give us a little bit more time to really see how things are filling out with the show.
Yeah. No. All right. So OJ has the plan. I'm gonna do that. And yeah, Cam, you're welcome back as well if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to rejoin you on here.
Awesome. All right, let's see. Oh, Laborsa Times, thank you for coming through, man. Good to see you, Billy. Hopefully this is not the last you'll see of us. Exactly. The finale will probably be 2 hours long. Oh yeah, I mean if the premiere was 90 minutes, the finale will probably be at least 90. I could see it being 2 hours. Personally, I thought it was a little bit rushed. I would have loved to introduce Marlene in the second episode. I mean, if it's 9 episodes, it's got to go at a brisk pace. And like OJ said, the stuff that makes the game longer, like doing the puzzles or moving, all that stuff can be skipped. So I think it's the perfect pace so far. I will give it that too. 10 out of 10 for pacing. I could see maybe a little fast, but yeah. All right. Oh, once again, I just want to shout out if you enjoyed listening to Cam and OJ today, both of their channels are linked in the description, and so are their Twitter accounts. If you want to subscribe to them, give them a follow. Yeah. To wrap up, I guess we'll do like the Spawncast thing, and you guys can both tell everyone, even though I just did, where to follow you. Maybe what you do specifically.
Sure. Go ahead, Cam.
I keep letting Cam start first. I was gonna let you start first.
Go ahead, Cam. I gotta tie my shoe because it's
right.
30 degrees. It's 30 degrees here in the Central Valley for some reason. So it's cold. So I'm wearing shoes in my house and a blanket.
Oh, that's really cold for you guys, isn't it?
Oh, that's ridiculously cold.
It's been bitter cold here too. It's been honestly kind of rough. But all right, Cam.
What'd you say? What'd you say? How cold was it?
I said it's been bitter cold.
Yeah. How many degrees though?
Oh, I mean below 30.
Oh God, no, I'm good. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
I mean, it's been snowing and stuff, so definitely below 30.
No, I can't.
All right, where can everyone find you, Cam?
So you guys can find me on Twitter at Cameron Ritz, and you can find me in here down in the description, like Jake said. But basically, what I do is I take all the gaming news, the biggest stories, and I cut it down into a 60-second little short video for you guys. I try to do daily content. I took a break last week because I had a friend visiting in town, but we'll be back at it this week. And Also, like really short unboxings. Like I did like the God of War Jotner edition, like under 60 seconds, and people loved it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and he also runs a different account, Gaming News Plus, right? And that's on
Yeah.
Instagram and Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. OJ?
Yeah, you can find me right here. I think I've already seen a number of you guys say that you're subscribing or already subscribed. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Shout out to my man Jake for having me on. You guys are awesome. Cam, it's great to meet you. I just followed you on Twitter. So I'll
Great to meet
definitely
you
checking
too.
out your videos as well. I subscribe too. So yeah, just find me right here on YouTube. I make content on Nintendo Switch, RPG content as well, action games. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up for Fire Emblem Engage if you're interested in that. And I do live streams as well. Pretty much 5 to 6 days out of the week, I'm streaming as well, and edited videos pretty much 5 to 6 days out of the week too. So sometimes 7 days. So yeah, so if you're into gaming content and if you're into live streaming, check me out right here on YouTube, Player Essence.
Perfect. All right, and I'm actually this is my first live stream I've done in probably 2 months. First content. Well, I've made a couple videos, kind of life updates in the last couple months. But yeah, I'm trying to get back into live streaming. So I'm actually taking a trip this week. I'll be back like Tuesday next. So like in a week, I think. But I'm gonna actually live stream tomorrow night for like an hour, 7 to 8, just to hang out with you guys because I know that we didn't do a hype sesh or finger guns tonight, and I can't do you dirty like that. So we're gonna I'm not gonna like promote it like I did with this stream or whatever. But for everyone that's here, I'll tweet it out like once. But I'm just gonna do just a stream to talk with all you guys, do a hype session, some finger guns, just for like an hour tomorrow night, like 7 o'clock Eastern. So I'll see you guys there, and then when I get back, I'll start doing regular streams again and make some videos. I have a lot to tell you guys. I mean, spoilers. I mean, you're OGs if you hear, but I just sold pretty much my entire game collection besides my Switch and PS5 games. Drove across the country to do that. Met Cam while I did that in
Nice.
South Carolina. So lots of life update. I've been having lots of adventures. 2022 was a really rough year, but I've made some huge changes and things are just getting better. So I can't wait to fill you guys in more tomorrow night. And thank you so much, Cam and OJ. I know this was kind of last minute for both of you guys, and you freaking came through. Love you guys. I appreciate you so much.
Love you too, man. Seriously, love you too, man. Thank you for having me on. Anytime, Jake. I would have went through hell or high water to be here, man, because I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys always have my back.
Yeah,
All right.
Jake, you know I'm always in debt to you, buddy.
No, man, you're not in debt to me. We're boys. That's it. All right,
brother.
Good night, chat, everyone. Hopefully, next week's episode's a banger, and we'll do that mid-season update. And obviously, I'll keep talking about it